kick things off on Breeze. Expected result with MXS taking the win 13-9 over TWT there. But honestly, fans, when I look back at the series, I could not have predicted how that game itself played out.
You know what? Actually, I'm with the opposite, because when you said expect the results, and I started laughing, and it's just like, yep, we're just following the script of Challengers. We're going to lose a pistol round as MXS, as if we're TSM, yet we're still going to come back. We're going to give false hope to our opponents who are not in the top 3, and then we'll just beat them. And then that's basically the story that we've been seeing on that first map.
Yeah, I felt like TWT were on a roll at the very start. Like, we were winning a lot of their rounds with, like, most of their team still alive. And MXS were slow to the punch, but the key word here is punch. MXS still know how to punch. This round in particular, where they crunched TWT in their own spawn, they even repeated that strategy twice. And I felt like MXS just had more strategy. They had more options. These timeouts didn't really help TWT.
Yeah, definitely. When you're looking at this as well, it started a 4-0 scoreline in favor of TWT, and you're like, oh crap, is it going to be the same storyline as Stinky Man when they played on Split? This is once again MXS's map pick, and then I'm pretty sure chat was like, how come MXS can't find your map that they chose? And then suddenly, once they realized that they had, you know, those important swing rounds with the Hunter's Fury, when they realized that you could still add your own type of pacing through the game, and again, the tenacity that you have against your opponents, it doesn't matter how many rounds you trail behind, you could still win those fights in the end and fight back towards the end. It's actually more on, you know, TWT in these moments too, where, you know, you're at a player advantage at the beginning and then you're not able to turn it around in your favor towards the end. That was another big point of that story, I think. Yeah, and after that, when you saw MXS really take control of the whole attacking side on Breeze, then you really understood why they chose that map, right? They were able to take a lot of mid-take at the beginning. Once they realized on TWT side that mid-take was important, then they went towards the extremities. They could fast tempo, they could slow tempo, they could split towards halls. You had to think on your toes here for TWT, and when you try to play aggressively to try to counteract and bring the pendulum back into your favor, to your side, to swing back on your side, it was too late because they were already 2 steps ahead for MXS.
All right, I want to then correct here a little bit. Expected result, and when you're looking at beginning of day, TWT last week up against Oxygen Esports had a really rough look. Yeah. So when we're looking into today and already what they put up, I actually am very excited to see that they're kind of, you know, willing to hang a little bit here when we started things off in this series, and that they did take that lead. Like, I was surprised once we got into it how many rounds they were kind of stringing together there. And I think that was the biggest thing for me headed into this week, Kiwi, when we're looking at TWT, to try and see if, like, because currently they're the top of these not top 2 teams. They're the top of the mid, top of the lower end of the team.
The top of the top of the mid of the top of the mid.
Yeah, top of the middle lower teams there. But I wanted to see how close they could get to the top team. And this was a good start.
Yeah, I think this was a better start from TWT than last week. And the thing that sticks out to me is the first kills. One stat I pointed out about Will, an unfortunate one, was how many times he was first blooded when dashing in and creating those opportunities. So I saw that him and Neptune were talking to each other, were trying to coordinate. Sometimes though that benefited them and they looked better on their offense, and sometimes that communication, that planning took too much time and MXS struck at them first. So I think with more experience, obviously TWT are just going to be more fluid in that regard, but this is a better look from TWT from last week.
Yeah, and I'm actually quite surprised now that we're looking at the scoreboard right now for the MVPs being Kempeki and Vic, because it almost feels when we're casting that game that we really didn't have a chance to talk about them too much, right? They were kind of like just silent killers for both TWT and also MXS. We were really talking about the conversation around how much space we were creating around Mata and Will, how op shots were like a little bit slow on both ends, but overall when they had to create space on rifling, they were doing such a great job. So I do like that there's that contrast, at least, that the supporting figures and the supporting act coming through from Kempeki, from Vic, or even from the KOs of the world have really shone in their favor in their own ways as well.
Yeah, I found that Vic and Brock looked untouchable at B. Even, where most teams would want to leave site and play retake, either Vic or Brock were left there solo holding, or both of them would stick together and play kind of for a pinch maneuver. And I felt like they got a lot of multi-kills to TWT, kind of funneled around Berlin Wall, and then MXS just hosed them down. So that's where I thought Vic and Brock had the biggest of impact. So less surprising for me to see Vic at the top.
I'm just thinking back to the one round where Vic was pushing up mid, jumps up on the box and just gets the double kill, just falls on top of Will there.
What should have happened?
Also that, but hey, it makes for some fun Valorant to watch, all right? I'm hoping we get to see a little bit more fun Valorant going on in this series. That was, of course, just our first map. And headed next, we're heading over into TWT's pick of Lotus here. And Vans, I want to put you on the hot seat. When we're looking at that first map with that close score line, I know last week when MXS took the loss, it was accredited to both Thinky Men doing a really good job and a breakdown in communication. Considering what we saw on Breeze, how are you thinking this next one's going to be shaping up?
I think it's going to be, I'm hoping, as Jen was talking about before, Lemon Q was talking about before, there was a little bit more, it felt like it was a little bit more communication going on between Kempeki and also onto Will. I've noticed as well from the past watching TWT play on Lotus, and it's like, hey, whenever we're going to try to have our mindset, try to execute with Raze, double satchels, even though there's util kind of like slowing us back, will still kind of like go in. So I'm just hoping that there's still going to be a little bit of communication through there, or at least a stronger figure in terms of in-game lean, and to say, hey, no, we have to reset in these moments. We could re-hit here and there and not really have to be like one-dimensional of like we could cut noise and re-hit. They need to work around the map a little bit more, which again, if it's their map pick, there's probably a reasoning why, and I'm hoping to see that a little bit more.
And Moist, Shopify, actually 0-1 on Lotus after losing that to Oxygen, and it was very close, 13-1. I think MXS showed a lot of their cards in that series, so that's where maybe TWT picked this because, well, they're 1-0. They took a 13-9 win against Core in week 1. While map 1 was a clash of styles of double initiator versus double controller, both these teams play very standard on Lotus, so I think this is going to be all about execution at the end of the day, and where the engagement planning has to be on par for TWT, has to be a lot faster. There's 3 sites on Lotus. Sometimes you go from A to B, B to C, C to B, and you just gotta be on it. No hesitation out of these rotations. And TWT hopefully are going into this next map with more confidence, but MXS are still the favorite.
I'm looking for confidence from TWT. I'm looking for MXS to win a pistol round, please. But I'm looking also at the agent select that is ahead of us, so I'm gonna send you two off and catch up later.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Oh,
yes.
Change of composition for MXS. I am already excited. This is going to be less boring because I was expecting some sort of a mirror match between both of these teams here at Lemon Kiwi. But the fact that not only is I'm seeing something new with like a Breach and a Gecko, the bigger one for me is the Brimstone actually from Vic. So I'm really intrigued about this whole how this kind of like fits in and how you're trying to work the map here on Lotus, and we'll have first dibs on it because they're starting off on the attack for MXS, which I love seeing this so far. I really want to know what this Brimstone is going to do.
Yeah, what's interesting about this team is they don't like to play Omen or go to Omen maps all that much, and Vic plays a lot of Brimstone in these double controller comps with Odorous on the Viper, at least usually. And Brock, we would usually get to see on something like a Sova or really a lot more Sky, but on this map, Gecko is different, not like unheard of, but they play, this is kind of similar to their Bind comp, just minus the Sky, so they're very comfortable with this initiative setup. But yeah, kind of a different look from the last time that they played Lotus.
Yeah, if anything that I know from my ranked games though, and I'm going to base this on why Vic is playing this Brimstone, is that stim pack is really going to allow for you to really break the timing that you could have with your Raze and your utility that's going to be thrown towards the A side, really countering that util being thrown on a defense. And maybe we could see that, right? He's already setting up on this A side. To get over Terrific though, are starting things off by getting ready to do some sort of trap play towards the front of the B site. They're already pinging out too, just to get read on the first contact. But at the same time, MXS, they're about to walk into it.
Double initiator out of MXS, ready to knock on these doors, Mata.
Uh-oh.
No Boombot. They got paint shells, they got satchels, and Neptune reacts just in time. So much damage!
One enemy remaining.
Double paint shells
Spike
make
down,
it 3
B.
for Will. Oh my god, MXS got blown up. And that's a flawless round out of TWT.
So Christmas did not come early for Sierra Dawn, where she wished for a pistol round win for MXS. That we won't check that box. But also on top of that, for them to walk into that trap of that C state that's usually towards that A side, just a simple contact throw on utility. And that was just great reason. I mean, you the paranoia on top of that through the wall on the defensive side. Beautifully done there on that coordination from TWT. At the same time, though, for MXS, it seems as though they wanted to try to try something different, right? Maybe trying to figure out where the KJ util is. Walk through for that info. Okay.
Okay. Was trying to teleport out, just got smoked at Sand Mound. So now an opening. The MXS are trying to work with. 2 on the site. Mata with 3. He is on something today. On a tear. MXS ready to plant a retake. Will ensue in a little bit. They're coming.
What is going on? How does he get an entry with 3 ghost kills? On top of that, because they got that first kill onto Pancakes, the C's was thrown a little bit too early, so that really didn't allow for TBT to hold an anchor.
A little outlaw action from Mame. Seeing just what he can do on Breeze with this. But tougher in how small this site is, you know, compared to Breeze. But Brock, missing that flash, but Mame is still doing work. I don't think this is really confusable, but see how many bodies he can stack up. Loses that to Flya, and MXS take the anti-eco.
All right, well, at least there's that. we will keep on with the script of somehow, again, we talked about the punishment. Pancakes was trying to TP away, but at the same time got gooped by a Dizzy, and lots of ghosts and classic shots just took him down. And again, because that first player fell down and you're trying to add that pressure on MXS's side, you forced out TWT to use a little bit of their utility too early, where they couldn't seize a combo anymore with Neptune and Will, and then the paint shells couldn't do anything anymore. So it allows here for MXS to find that timing, triple swing in the C site, and just get those openers in. That's a great way to answer back. And here you're seeing this continuation of throwing a Dizzy high in the air, and instantly Pancakes has to TV back towards the C side. So just from one piece of util that's pretty free for you to pick up and bring it back up to 10 seconds after, it's a full counter to what Pancakes is currently doing on the C side. And look at the amount of util that's being thrown on C. Like already a Prowler came out at the same time. Lots of utils being used, although this is an eco that we currently have for TWT, so it's understandable that you're trying to find some sort of trap play on that C-side lead. But MXS should be able to close this round quite easily.
Yeah, TWT, I mean, they used util as Sandmound, thinking once they spotted MXS, that was going to be the hit, but now well established, and with first blood is MXS with the spike planted up on ropes. TWT's retake potential. There's a Prowler coming down those steps. Mata keeps eyes on ropes, ready to converge. Once that Brim Smoke goes down, it doesn't even need it. Mata lines up 3 with the Zenny Flawless.
Now that was what, 3 kills with a Ghost, then you have 3 kills with the Phantom. You already have a showstopper ready against TWT in their gun round. So that's how you steamroll 2 rounds in a row from Mata, who again has picked up the pace really from the last few rounds of that Breeze map, where he created that space. He's landing his shots, and you don't really need the opera in your hand on a map like on a Raze map like that. You're doing a great job just holding down and creating that space by satcheling in and just grabbing those spots in those 4 positions. So very, very well done. Let's see this round.
Where are you?
Well, the impact. There you go. Goes to Stimmy right away, and that engages that top C right into the A side. Showstopper on the feet of Kempeki, and goodbye. A side is open.
Right where the sun don't shine.
Spike down
MXS with an explosive opening to A. The TWT seemed a bit ready. They had someone at the top ropes, and Mame needed more help in that moment. But Will was coming out A stairs and now stuck until Pancakes can get position. As MXS with time on their side, just need to be careful once the Brim Smoke goes down, but Vic can now just use this Omen one as cover. Either way, MXS have all their bases covered. Mata about to run into Pancakes, and man, Mata is just untouchable. Until now, I guess. Still, a win's a win for MXS. Will just doesn't have time to clear 2 people can defuse this spike. It can't even get out.
Especially when you have a Brimstone with a molly on top of that too. So yes, that was an easier molly to throw on the ground, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're also leveraging Vic to do like lineups with the molly from rubble, from any type of spot here that could really prevent the spike from being defused. But this full engage again, from a stem pack to a fault line to double satchels, adding up speed on top of that with the players just behind here to close the gap on the double satchels in the site. I think that's beautifully done right now, and that's a method behind the madness of how aggressive you want to be. And it could continue with this aggression. They're playing against a half buy they currently have in TWT, and also they have a Thrash to work with. There's that TP, but it's up top of the boxes. I love this. It's on the ledge. Oh, never mind. I don't love it anymore. I don't love it. They just shot it there. Brock just kind of knew. That's crazy.
They heard it. They smelt it. They dealt with the problem, so...
Right there.
MXS.
Right there.
They like to really cause a commotion at Sandmound. Now, TWT can be like, well, what helped us before was throwing a paint shell when MXS wanted to go B, but I don't think MXS are going to fall for that again.
Not anymore. No, for sure. For sure not, right? For sure not, right?
Right.
No, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. They're gonna be more diligent for sure with the util that they have. They have scan initiator still with Brock. They could still use a Thrash just in case if they wanted to. So you're just making sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. But even at this spot, you're moving towards the C site. This door could be open. They could try to do a seasoning through there. They're choosing otherwise. You're gonna season from the waterfall here for TWT.
Lightning trim, Sotoshima.
30 seconds left.
Door could open right behind. Sotoshima will be on duty to watch for that. MXS with a quick plant. And the picks from the B door. Brock with 3 this round. MXS. They just take over these engagements. And TWT can't put a good dent into them until the Sheriff from Neptune had something to say about it. SMGs up close from TWT heard as well, but... Will just causing some noise, forcing Vic check that corner. But Will's gonna want to keep this gun.
Wait, does that actually work? Can you actually satchel the wingman before? I never knew that. That's something new that I learned today.
Me neither.
But that allowed for you to get that little thunder flap that you had there from the wingman to really stun Kanpeki. But again, the half buy that you had for TWT, you tried to go for the surprise play, a one-off unorthodox position off the TP, right in your smoke on that half wall of C site, yet still being discovered by Brock. I mean, that's some gamer sense right there from the initiator out of MXS. And that pulls out an early timeout coming out from TWT. And they have to at this point, because again, this is the first time really that you're seeing MXS pull this out. You have to try to adapt as soon as possible. They're realizing that there's a lot of speed going through with the Brimstone on the right side. They continuously had to fight against the Dizzy that's being thrown by Brock on the C side, so Pancakes can get good position on Mound. Their best success was pissed around with the seasoning, and they're doing a lot of the combination of the seasoning from Will and Neptune. So at this point is, if you're seeing this fast pace from MXS on the A side, is there a way for you to seasonate a little bit better, closer into that range of the fault line and at orb maybe to try to go for those type of fights? Maybe you can't go as aggressive anymore here for TWT, but your reads cannot be a stack towards the B side only here at this point. But as I say that, you see 5 players just finding some sort of team meeting and huddle inside the B site. So they are trying to do some sort of mid B control and maybe pinch back towards C if Pancakes is going to get heavily punished or heavily controlled once again by the Dizzy. This is quite interesting here that they're choosing that factor. Okay, so they have the haunt that's being thrown on the A side. That's a standard one. It doesn't get shot, but it doesn't get information. But they're still trying to get ready to collapse into a C side orb tap.
Now MXS cutting noise. I liked where Will was positioned with the showstopper. If it was a C pivot, door open, showstopper in the face. B hit, paint shells, showstopper to the face. A hit, well, MXS have been able to take that pretty easily and get the plant. Post plants have favored them so far. Deciding to go through tree, throw the boombot in there. No one's even holding it. Nightfall from TWT. Help themselves get into position. MXS a minute to see who could come through baby door. But now pivoting over to B, exploding into is Mata. And of course, the flash from Rock, getting early info. You got the Brim smokes at every entryway. A showstopper right in the middle of the whole squad. Will comes out dry, and MXS up by 1, but this is just so much commotion. Somehow they still got the plant down, probably thanks to Gecko utility. Mame with the op is somehow getting value in the side area. Make it 2. He's doing more than enough. And to secure the round is the lockdown from Mame.
1 enemy remaining.
Over yet, really. They have to fight this back. There you go. After these picks, there'll be the defuse right
the
after.
crystal ball.
Yeah, and then the round will come in for TWT, but the idea, I mean, it looked like it was going to be MXS's round. The read from TWT off that timeout was perfect, right? Get the up on Mame, his silver lining, watching that line on the A side. You have a crunch towards the C side if you needed that. And then they preemptively threw the Nightfall so that you could funnel MXS from the A side towards a Will showstopper. Unfortunately, it was a Rosa ult, so I was like, oh no, this is going to be a round for MXS. But then those op shots came through from Mame to activate that lockdown, and that really turned it around here for TWT. So good on Mame to understand that there was going to be some sort of a late lurk here on the pulse plant. But yeah, it's still going to be a round for them in the end. 2-4 score line. We're going back into the tried and true of just defaulting on both extremities, throwing this Dizzy, and grabbing an ult available here for Mata on C.
The MXS were like, okay, where's Pancakes? He's been peeking that Sandman quite a few times, especially at the other site. Teleported into Rubble, so he's going to miss out on the action. Here's Mata with the showstopper. Gets blown up by a judge. And now that MXS hear that judge, I don't know. I don't know if they want that smoke. Yeah, the KJ util forces Kanpeki to a corner, but this is just not where you want a judge to be. Maybe MXS can turn on this corner, but there's a crossfire from Mame set up. MXS opened the door to fake it out. Here's the rolling thunder. The judge still doing work. And oh my god, if Kanpeki started spraying smoke, they would come out big. And uh-oh, now the spike has been left on the site. I don't know about that call, Brock.
I love how he just zoomed in just to be like, women, you are effed. Well, spike down, full roster, beautiful judge hold, and great way here for TWT to just avoid the huge utility that came out here from MXS. Avoided showstopper, avoided rolling thunder, and now you have no choice. You got to save these last 2 guns. You have to run back and try to use this into the next round. So very nice here for TWT to play around that. And it just seems maybe that they weren't ready for that judge at the entrance of C site.
They heard it once and then still wanted to go in. They're like, okay, we know exactly where this judge is. Still died to it. But, you know, the crossfire was nicely set up using the judge player as bait. But, you know, Kanpeki gets to upgrade that to a better rifle in that case. And MXS will pay the price, especially leaving that spike there. They really screwed themselves.
Yeah, with that, we'll see if MXS, yeah, I was going to say maybe they want to call a timeout out of this one as well, because now they've utilized 2 very important ults and couldn't convert out of that one, and now they're trying to figure out how they could play against an operator that Mame brought out very early in this half. And I like this, right? They've been really good at controlling some very early pressure of Mound and A sign, but a lot of these has been a lot of no real default pulling out rotates. They were really just trying to or brute force it to a site. Doesn't work, let's run as a group towards B, or let's run towards C, group up, work towards C. And the lurks really happen towards the pulse plant only. So I wonder if they're going to try to maybe utilize and make sure that they keep Will and Neptune on one side of the angle and then really try to punish Mame on the other end. But it's a tough one to do, right? You're playing a single controller being Vic with a Brimstone. You can't put a Viper Wall up to really cut down the line of sight of the operator on the defense. So that might have to be the responsibility this time of Otoshima to try to throw a couple of cages here on the A side and really keep that 1v1 against Mame posted up on that side so they could work somewhere else across the map. They really still have a lot that they could work against in terms of the setup that you have for TWT. It just has to be, okay, do we want to use it against the op, or do we want to use it against the seasoning combo here of the defenders that we're looking, at least at this point, as the Barons are coming up for contact, to use that util on A side control.
And since MXS like to hit A so fast and so aggressive, I like that Pancakes has pivoted his Omen at A, trying to teleport into Rubble and pressure it down, but MXS go anywhere but there. So the gamble doesn't pay off for TWT, but MXS, they just can't see. nothing. Where they try to use the Gecko to obscure TWT, and everyone's fallen like flies, but only TWT survive.
That was such a clutch siege being thrown into the side there for Neptune on top of that. So the reaction was super quick for TWT. When they realized there was no pressure on the A side, they instantly broke the door. You could throw the C's through the window, and then actually caught one player and then just flooded through that. That was so nice there that MXS, once again, weren't really ready for that one too. They're going for another buy across this time around with smaller shields, but it's a half buy to another half buy, so they're still going to be very healthy in terms of having rifles available for the next few rounds for MXS, and I think that's all due in part of that nice little eco that they got on that second round thanks to Mata. So at least there's some room to breathe. But this was a nice little start by MXS. We're tied up 4-4 on that scoreline, and it's not going to make things easier here, as again, technically when you're watching a three-sided map, it's usually more attacker side.
They're finding themselves on the other side of this pit and spraying through it. Sure, they get Neptune low and some damage into Kentucky, but MXS also have Brock on the edge of life currently. And, you know, MXS, even when they'll lose a player early, if they want the C site, they'll try. They won't pivot out of this. Kind of like when there was a judge in that corner.
Yeah, still a nice plan, though. We'll hold that thought as they going into the C site.
Yeah, the orbital strike. That's how they flush out the site as an opening as MXS crawl their way in. Now, one player, Will, at the waterfall, wingman for the plant. Already on site, though, is Neptune, but wasn't synced up with Will or Mame sitting in waterfall. So MXS have prime position to watch over these areas. And Will and Mame know that this retake is just not possible. Yep,
I want to save the off for the next round. And I like the idea of what TWT were doing there on that C site, though. They're like, okay, let's just throw an early pit. And then for MXS, what you usually think at this point is say, well, why are you giving us that orb for free, pretty much? Because that pit is not going to cover anything at all. But they still try to use Will and Neptune close inside the pit. The pit is deep enough too for you to be able to run out and do a seize nade off the top of an orb. It did a lot of damage, but unfortunately couldn't get a kill. And as it didn't get a kill, it allowed the orbital strike, to be ready for Vic once he picked it up. And that was the story right after. So you really try to run your strat around a huge trap play that you're playing in the void, because you're playing with no visual information unless it's all audible from the orb. So that gamble doesn't pay off. They pay the price. It was a high risk, high reward, and unfortunately it didn't pay off in their favor, and MXS is able to take or salvage at least a point again out of TWT and keep their economy quite healthy on this round. Although Mame, with the rest of the team, able to save the operator. The rest will buy around that too, because the amount of rounds that they've won in a row on their side. So this is still, once again, a pivotal round on both teams. You're still going to be able to see somewhat of a buy, whoever loses this round. But you're trying to make out of it with as many players as possible, of course.
A slow burn from MXS and a different look to even peak this early at B, because, you know, last time they did that on pistol, I don't have to remind y'all how that went down. But MXS don't really get much information out of this. Gonna open the door and see what procs at the C site. Meanwhile, TWT have good control of A lobby, so good map practice overall from the defense, and Mata just slow walks right into it up.
Yep.
At least now they know that.
Yep, they were trying to get control of Mountain after smoking out towards the entrance. Didn't expect that somebody was going to be on the ledge, but not. Beautifully done there by Mame.
MXS make their way onto the site as Mame hides in waterfall. The other side of smoke. There's the nightfall from Neptune.
Planted.
Forcing MXS. They're back against the corner, and the Prowler from Neptune. But MXS are coming out on top. There's so many smokes. It's coming down on quick reactions. But as that clears, Will with 3 does amazing work for TWT, but the job is not done. 1 versus 3, as Brock just has to keep the spike and the round alive for MXS. Neptune knows where he is. Haunt is thrown. The swing happens, and great timing out of TWT.
That was so nice, and I hope that I'm able to see this in the replay. But I wonder if Neptune was able to throw a seize just before he got hit. by that Thrash, because Will came from behind, got a paint shell kill and 2 kills right after, and it felt like some of them were actually purpled up. So I think they did get decayed from Aziz at that point. That was really everything that initiated it, that first pick, and then that now engaged MXS to really rush inside the side. There we go. He actually sees all 3 of them and then allowed Will to get the backstab. That was so nicely done in a selfless play by Neptune to allow, again, this combination. You mentioned it at the beginning of the desk. We want to see more coordination and how Neptune could initiate Will into better opportunities for kills. We've seen it a little bit on Breeze, but we're definitely seeing it this time on Lotus.
Now 5-5. Both these teams have gone so back and forth. Mame will distance themselves. Don't know what kind of, satchel gal may come through those doors. But MXS gonna respect that and head over to another site. Where B, they've tried that. They haven't been fast hitting A, at least not for a while. Now with Pancake's position, will that be able to stop them?
Yeah, so far so good to try to slow things off a bit. I mean, he put the one-way smoke, which now forced the attackers to use a bit of util to try to clear that out a bit, because you heard those 2 flashes. They have nothing left in terms of flashes to work inside the site unless the Dizzy got picked up by Brock and it's still being refreshed so far. But that doesn't really allow for you to really get too much value of entering the A site. And there you go. You see Brock now. He has the Dizzy back and available. But they're walking back once again into Mame's op. He gets a good position here. Oh, nice.
Ooh, and the big, it is not an A hit. It's C after all. MXS's favorite. Mame's okay chilling on the other side of the smoke. Ideally would like to see some bodies to use the sniper on, but once that clears, Mame has been impactful in the past. MXS with the plant. Pretty injured though is Mata, and they're just all stacked on the side. TWT starting to surround them, popping in. Will Showstopper gets 2. MXS wiped almost immediately, huddled up. But they go down as a team.
It almost feels like TWT is understanding the path in that MXS is currently doing when they're stuck playing inside the site, right? You're playing in a lot of these moments where you're not planning for mounds, so you're planning safe in the site, which means usually most of the players are trying to find good positioning inside there. But on the attack side, they knew there was a showstopper eventually that was going to come in. And just like they did with the Thrash, they wanted to leverage at least one side of that site, which is the waterfall. So that if you lose the main portion of the map, you could still wallbang spray from waterfall back into the site onto that spike. Yet, Will, once again, beautiful read. Showstopper going into the waterfall to drop 2. So now MXS, I think at this point, they're going to have to figure out if they're going to plant again on the seaside. Maybe you just have to find that utility to fight towards the spawn. And you have what it takes. I mean, you have a breach, and you also have the Dizzy to use right there with the Gecko to fight towards that spawn. So maybe something they could think about, but I mean, we're in round number 12. So that's something you're going to have to think about for the next time you're going to play Lotus with this comp.
Yeah, last round and a half, MXS showing a different hand than what they previously played with in terms of their composition. Now a subtle exploration of B, opening up the door, and ideally Mata not walking into an op this time. It will be Onishima getting his eyes out there. But now he'll wrap around. TWT not gonna stack any sight, but Pancake's holding close to A lobby, has to teleport out, does so just in time, and the paranoia to slow down MXS, but Will's trying to cover him up and eat the bullets for his teammate. Now, no one dies in that case from TWT, but MXS established everyone pushing into tree, which I wonder if Neptune is going to realize that, or at least now MXS break off, has to deal with Neptune.
30 seconds left.
Pancakes with 2. TWT on ankles. Takes apart MXS, but Mata with 3 tries to save the round. He has the showstopper.
Last player standing.
One could be at the staircase, chooses the wrong one, but ends up with a W at the end. 13 seconds left. It's a 1v1. Mame has the ult, misses the shot. Mata knows he has to go for the plant. Doesn't hear Mame stomping away quite yet, and he swings, and it's the ace for Mata.
Mata once again being clutch for MXS. entries with pistols on that second round, which allowed MXS to get a couple of these, and TWT started coming back. But now, how he's moving around the site, how he's saving his team, the readjustment on that spray, and then also isolating all these 1v1s. There was a little bit of miscomms for TWT on how they wanted to anchor the site, but man, does Mata come to deliver once again, this time with a Zippo ace, and also once again, see the same thing as the first map. We end the half 6-6, a clean slate one more time, and what does that mean for the script? MXS is going to lose pistol.
And Mata was going crazy at the start, too. This wasn't just a one-round ordeal. He's the top fragger in this lobby for a reason. Now the tables have turned, and MXS are on the defense. And it's 6-6 round, just like in the last map. Oh, man. But it was MXS that finished off stronger. Now doing some initial damage into Neptune forces TWT back to spawn. So MXS can measure their aggression quite well. They're going to make sure they have some bodies at A, too.
And they have a trip at least on that side, just kind of like using the same role as the alarm bot here, having Otoshima placing that on that side. Once it gets broken, they might have a better idea here for MXS that their decision to stack towards this A site is the right call.
Now they'll break this. TWT position revealed, and that will be Brimstone, Vic, Smoke, forcing TWT to swing. Oh, at the same time, but I'm covering all their angles.
Down you go.
But still, maybe a successful hit. TWT, they've been winning every pistol so far, but this is quite close. Now the C's, as Fly is stuck against Snade. At least he still lives.
30 seconds left.
Otoshima at the A stairs has his impact known. And MXS may just take pistol, depending on how they can deny this plant. And I'm surprised Pancake still has a head after climbing up that rope against Brock. Don't even try it again, bro. But Smoke at the back, time running out. TWT go for the plant, and it's the crunch out of MXS to take pistol.
Say it was cash or bless. If I had to say that MXS was going to lose pistol, we're going to win pistol, right? They always go against me. But no, to jokes aside, that was very nicely done on at least the reads that came out from MXS. Understanding that after the pressure they've gotten, doing damage onto Neptune, forcing the players back, that they're going to try to utilize a push towards the A site. And especially when three players are grouped up and they break the trip, they probably think at this point, since they were not hit at all or not spotted at all, not jump spot on the A side, that you were trying to play the retake on the A site. So beautifully done here for MXS to really stack up on the right side, to have a perfect read being called out by Flya, and now winning the pistol and taking a lead in the series.
Okay, little aggro there on Rubble for MXS, but sure scaring the heck out of TWT, but it was really scared of Flya. Vic, what? The Quadra? And no one punishes him. No one even, well, a slight sneeze went on to Vic, but just annihilated that round for TWT. Vic wants the ace, and the spike is on the other side of that smoke, and Pecky has to deal with that. The Gecko Flash manages to live, and no ace for Vic, but still a W for MXS.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to continue the confidence that, you know, MXS has built up since that last round, that run number 12. So yeah, Mata gets an ace, and then you wanted Vic to get another one too. And also on top of that, if he gets that kill, then or death just like he did, he'll get the orbital strike no matter what into the next round if he can get a pick. This is actually quite nice here for MXS to start to steamroll with the confidence that they built on players that are just stepping up right now and just owning in the server. Yes, we were talking about here Mata at the top of the scoreboard for the whole server, but also Will has been really up there too as a duelist again. So both duelists doing a great job finding their footing since that first map on Breeze. And now for the gun round for TWT. They're just holding back towards the spawn. MXS has a decent bonus round because they have a Phantom and an Orb that they controlled. So that was the name of the game. They went for a smoke, full control on C side. Now they realize it's not being pressured. They could take the orbital strike in their favor too and use this as plant deniability or a retake.
Oh, jeez. It's a 3-2 split out of TWT. Early damage into Kanpeki, but it's just going to be listening in. See how many rotators has he pulled towards A, and C is pretty barren, just minus that trip.
Yeah.
And other than that, TWT ready to go.
Definitely got to give it to Kim Pecky by lurking up on the A side, pulling all of the defenders out towards the A site. So the name of the game right now for MXS is to play the retake, which they definitely could with the orbital strike and this phantom and the rifles. And then Pecky, is the one that's going to be trying to play.
Neptune just had to commit, sacrifice himself for the plan, and is successful before the orbital strike could take him out. And MXS want to follow up quickly. The cage is up. MXS blocking off TWT from seeing their own spike, and TWT are losing bodies left and right. And the defuse is being stuck by MXS. So it doesn't matter what happens. MXS take the round.
Odashima stays alive at 5 HP. Yeah, again, they had to be quick on that rotate, on that flank for Kempeki after they engaged for that plant towards that C site. But MXS, again, you're trying to just flood and trying to keep your opponents at bay and also off guard as soon as you pull the orbital strike down. You have to run behind that, because if you just deny plant or you don't fight with it, then you still give a chance for your opponents to adjust when you have a lower buy. So I love that they just went through with it. They used so much utility towards the front side of C as well, just to really not give a chance for TWT to fight back from mount on the pulse plant. Beautifully done. That's a nicely converted round for MXS off the lower buy that they had. Although with these plants, TWT are still going for a buy.
Oh, jeez. Mata just being a pillar on the sand mound. Knew where the boom bot was being thrown at. Knew there were the rays on the right corner, but with the prowler from the left. I'm still surprised he stood there. But TWT ain't gonna test that, and has TWT just try to rotate in their own spawn. Now you got people from the defense peeking B. Now TWT not really happy with the start of this early round. Gonna prowler their way into A. So many trips, and even a camera from MXS watching over A. But TWT decide to pivot towards B, and then they get flushed out by a paint shell. Everything that TWT wants to do is just getting thrown right back in their face.
Yeah, and they're pinned. Really, like, look at where the spike is. He's caught at baby door and really can't exit. So you're just trying to punish if you can as Neptune as the rest are trying to make noise towards the A site. Works out at least for that first one.
30 seconds left.
The pick is something TWT can work with, but Neptune going first with the spike. And now you got the molly on top of it. At least Will still go in, make entry like you said. The spike going down, and Will is salvaging this somehow for TWT when this round looked lost. He may just pull a miracle out of his hat, and he'll need it because he's at 3 HP. Gonna play nowhere even near the site as MXS only have Odashima to depend on, at least know where Will has escaped to. Gonna use the camera to bait out the shot. Taps the spike. Come on, Will you bite on the bait? No, Odashima just needed to sneeze on him, and then that was it. And almost turns and burns on Kanpeki, but TWT come out on top.
That was so close, and I thought at some point it was a done deal no matter what. When Will got those picks, he already had the showstopper too after the plant, and that was like, okay, well, we'll just use that if we need to. Yet he still peeks out. You called it perfectly. Odashima actually never went into the camera because you're just trying to bait the shot out of the camera being thrown so that you could actually know where your raise is being hidden at, because you saw her throw the raise satchel on the top of the spike at the beginning. Yet it gave a chance here for Kanpeki to have high grounds to fight against a lower damaged Odashima, although it's still Odashima you're playing against a 2 versus 1. Sometimes you want to solidify with the showstopper, but at least you count on your teammates to I guess try to clutch the round in the end, because they still had a lot more time to work with on their end. I don't even think really the spike was in a situation that was going to be guaranteeing the round there for TWT towards the end. Yet they got the round. They also call a timeout behind that victory that you just got here for TWT, because they have a important showstopper that they're working with. That round that they won, it was only one player that was left alive, so their economy might not be the best. They get what, 3,300 each for winning the round and planting the spike. So they might be someone that has smaller shields, and there you go. So you have 3 of them at smaller shields. They have 2 big ults to work with, and this is an important swing round for their side versus an MXS that could potentially go into another eco here if you're able to convert this for the attack.
TWT not trailing by too many rounds either. MXS are just the second half type of team when both these teams were tied in the first half. Now with the Haunt being thrown at a TWT, okay. Some presence at C. Where will the showstopper from Will land? Could always cut from B into C, using the Prowler, get initial information, check that box. No one's in that corner. Just gonna jiggle peek, see who, or really how many people are stacked B. Quite a lot of attention from MXS went into that entry. TWT just playing this nice and slow. Now 3 traveling through B, opening the door, getting sights onto C, and the smoke. I'm not sure if it's still there, but Mono just let's be sure not to walk into, or well, will this time not walk into any shots.
They're just trying to create paranoia right now. The alarm bot just got placed too. They're hoping that they hear it on the other side of the defense, but this door opening is just for them to re-hit towards the B side with the double ult. And then you have a late lurk coming out from Kampeki, sorry, towards Baby Door. Hard to say from time to time.
Yeah. Hard to see where this offense can
30
go.
seconds left.
Mame, it's like, oh,
Face
this
your
side looks
fear!
pretty free. Got the Nightfall hitting the back of B. Will jumps in. And no showstopper, no friend, just death. MXS picking off everyone who dares to enter B. And that clutch guy of Will not there
left.
this time to salvage the round like he did previously. So the pivot happens towards C, the plant ensues, and that gets denied at the end. A big round for MXS.
Hold on, I'm running 3 questions. That meme, I'm like looking with my head tilted, and I have 3 question marks over my head until what they were trying to achieve there with the with that ult, because the Nightfall ult was actually used towards the left side spawn and Baby Door. We don't have too much pressure on Mound to try to pinch in on that area or to get information. You're also, I mentioned, you have a late lurk on that A side from that Baby Door, yet you're ulting towards the left, don't have a showstopper towards the right, and then just have your guy die in the smoke too when you're satching in. I don't. You have to go back to the tape there. You have to go back to the tape.
Well, if there's one thing that works, it's paint shells. Very good pressure out of MXS into that A lobby. Now the showstopper. Oh, Neptune gets out. And no, never mind.
Down,
somehow MXS
spawn.
have pushed up through Sand Mound and have pinned TWT in their own spawn. There is some B space here for Mame. The spike has been left behind, and Kampeki is like, they're playing also really close to Rubble. TWT very panicked at the moment.
Yeah, on a lower buy too. I mean, they were trying to get that early control on Rubble, hoping to get some good trades in. You see these nice traps are being set here on the defensive side of Otoshima too, just to counter against double satchels. And I hope they kill them right away so they don't see the trips, but unfortunately they do, because I think this would have been something super important for them to place whenever they're going to fight against Will Showstopper in the next round, whenever they're going to try to hit the C site here for TWT. Nonetheless, though, they still get a Phantom upgrade. The game's not really over yet.
A thrash too from Brock. Good info for MXS, knowing TWT are playing top of the site. Oh, and even hearing the showstopper, good back away from Brock. But now TWT can shift their positions, hearing them walk forward. Kampeki gets good damage in, but TWT have lost full control of the situation. MXS will go up to 11.
Yeah, you're hoping that you get some value out of that showstopper that just got popped there on the pulse plant by Will, but all he did was try to hold on and delay a little bit, which I also understand, right? You're trying to run the clock in your favor. You're not trying to give your life away at that point too. So you're hoping to get the better angles against your opponents, but then again, you're playing at a player disadvantage, and the defenders are coming in from all angles, from mound, from waterfall, from spawn. Very difficult for you to get a good footing to really position yourself on a post plan. So MXS, they convert a very nice I'd like to say anti-eco at this point, because it was a much lower buy that you had for Together We're Terrific. Although they've wasted out the showstopper too on the attack, that's another big plus. But the big piece right now is also a lockdown that's very close here for Together We're Terrific, yet they're not really trying to leverage that C side. You see how on defense they had 3 guys on that side on C? They were expecting for something to happen for them to try to get that lockdown, but instead they break trip. A pit comes out on the attack, and they're going in for a plan.
Yeah, cool setup by TWT. From the shadows, set up on B, make the call, no one's here, go for the pit. Good coverage on this too. MX is just trying to just put trickle damage around. It's been tough for MXS to find a good opening. They have people on almost every door. But TWT are just all stacked in this pit. Now the spike is planted. Vic knows there's just someone right on the other side of this. Knowing and hearing where the plant came from, he's gonna take the risk, but Neptune is just quicker. And TWT, they're shaken but not stirred. But now that Campeki went down, the pit does too. This exposes TWT, and Brock and friends of MXS benefit.
Exactly what you said. The aftershock from Flyer actually hits Campeki, and him dying drops the pit and puts two guys out of TWT out in the open, on the line, left to dry and left to get picked off. And it also cancels out any type of late lurks that was going to come out from Mummy in the end. That was a huge piece of util that got the biggest kill for the round. That gives a chance here for MXS to close out the series. Again, saving grace now for TWT because Mummy died. They have a lockdown to work with, but Flyer off that pick, probably off the defuse too, now has a Rolling Thunder to play retake with as well. Or maybe want to be aggressive with it too.
Grenade!
Match point, series point for MXS. Already causing a ruckus at Rubble. TWT have been pinned in their spawn quite a few times, and now they got the Rolling Thunder. There's nowhere that's safe, including where you just spawn. Campeki will fall in. TWT cut off as the BC door opens. And Pancakes has to do a 1v4 clutch to keep TWT alive. He's got to clear all the Cypher util, try to go back around, but it's over. MXS take the win.
That was amazing. It almost like I was watching Breeze all over again when they leverage an ultimate and then flood it into different angles on top of that. So you're actually flooding your opponents on the A side. You're killing the peoples, rotating across over at B side because you're double pushing towards B. And then you have what? You open door, you start spraying on side because you have front B control. That was so nice by MXS on the defensive side, and that's something new that I actually haven't really seen MXS do yet in their defensive side. On Breeze to be very aggressive with the Showstoppers, the Hunter's Furies. On Lotus to be very aggressive with the Rolling Thunder. This was really, really nicely done by MXS in the end.
Yeah, MXS are just a second half type of team. Like the fact that these guys were so close, but then MXS just adapt and come out with this. They changed the pace so much, and they just got more and more confident, more and more aggressive, and TWT, as their confidence dwindles, they just started getting picked apart. Even MXS got a lot of first kills there, TWT right behind them, so the rounds weren't as one-sided. But still a better look at a TWT, but MXS will still be #1 of the group.
Yeah, and I'm just going to guess it here. So what do you think, Sierra Dawn?
I'm here. Hello. I want to talk about the match. I want to talk about some Valorant. I want to talk about the fact that MXS got a pistol win, finally. It took a bit, but hey, we got there. MXS, after a little bit of a rough time last week, being able to take out this win band, I feel like this is good for them.
Yeah, it's good, but there's still that one thing is like winning pistol rounds, right? But at least they got it on that fourth pistol round of this series. So there is some sort of like hope into seeing MXS continue to stack up the wins week after week. And I'm actually looking forward to see what this whole big battle between the top three of MXS, Oxygen, and M80. Who really is going to be the one at the top at this point? Is it going to be MXS or is it going to be M80 at this point? This is some very, very, very nice Valorant that we're currently seeing week after week here from Moist X Shopify.
100%, especially too, I mean, pulling up like player stats from this match, when we're looking at this MXS squad, I mean, there's definitely a case on why this could be the top team here. I know that there's been a couple of stumbles along the way, but the firepower coming out from Mata, Brock's always just so consistent. And I mean, that one play, the util from Flya in that final round or second final round there, Lemon, to be able to take down the Viper's pit. I mean, this team definitely has what it takes to be the team.
Yeah, just losing that Viper's pit was so rough because the whole team The whole team were in that security blanket. So we've seen some clutch moments. Holy, 7 first kills out of Mata, by the way. Just a really impactful performance at the start of the game too. A ton of multi-kills. No surprise that it was going to be Mata versus Will, and who was going to have that star power for their team. And I don't think it was super one-sided as we maybe thought or predicted based on how last week went. I like that Will was able to keep up, but this was definitely the Mata show.
Yeah, and on the other end though, for Will, right, despite him only having 1 first kills, he was still 21 kills overall here on the scoreboard, and that showed a lot of value that was actually bringing in his retake type of plays, that they had. The combinations of him and Neptune was on par. The showstoppers were great. Rotating back towards start was super good too. So at that point, I just loved how they were able to retake that site together. And then after that, when you're looking at them on the playing the defense, rather, it almost seemed, or sorry, playing the attack, rather, it almost seems like they weren't ready in a type of play that MXS actually brought out on the defense too, because of the amount of compositional change that brought into their favor. That really they got owned a little bit by the retake play.
Yeah, but I'm glad at least, even though there is of course a couple of things that there could be better. I won't say, getting owned, Vance. I'm not quite of a killer as you are out here on that sort of thing. But from TWT, especially after the look against Oxygen last week, I'm excited that we got to see more from them. I'm excited that we got to see more coming out from Will especially. But of course, we got to talk about the victors in this one too. And I believe talk to the victors, as we do have our interview lined up. We'll be taking a short break as we have their post-series highlights, and we will be right back.
Get out of my life. Down. Enemy down. Nailed it. 1 enemy remaining. 30 seconds. 1 enemy remaining.
3 gone.
1 enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Spike down. 1 enemy remaining. Flawless. One enemy remaining. One enemy. Last player standing. 1 enemy remaining.
And with another 2-0 victory, MXS going to be staying on top of the group. Congratulations on the win, Brock. How does it feel being able to take this in a 2-0 after a little bit of a more rough week last week?
It felt pretty good. I feel like our game plan was way better this week than last week. I feel like last week we didn't really know what to expect, but yeah.
Definitely glad to hear that it's going better too. And I want to ask about the communication aspect, because Dan had talked to Mata after that series last week and said that communication was a little awry, as well as following the game plans. Do you feel better about this series going into it?
Yeah, I feel like every single series we play, we're getting better, and like we have a better understanding of like what we want to do and how we want to do everything. But yeah, that's basically all there is.
Definitely glad to hear it's going better on that aspect. I do have to address the elephant in the room, though, talking about the pistol rounds coming out from MXS. Because at the beginning of the split, I had to go back and triple check this.
Yeah.
The pistol rounds were pretty good, and can you break this down for me? What's happening here? Is it a credit to the other teams? Like, what's up with these?
I feel like a lot of the pistols are kind of like random a lot of the time. I feel like you got to, like, strats can always be good, but I feel like at the end of the day, you just have to hit your shots on pistols. But we're definitely going to work on those. That's going to be like our #1 thing to fix right now.
Glad to hear. I was excited that we got to see a pistol round win in this. I was hoping for that on the desk. Talking about yourself as well, all throughout Challengers, I mean, you've been a really consistent pillar of the team. I've seen going around too that you're being called the Broctagon. You've been known for being kind of like that behind the scenes, just kind of consistent pillar. First, I want to know how you feel about that nickname, and second, too, just about your own play so far this season.
I kind of like that nickname, to be honest. I feel like it's pretty cool that I have like a nickname. But yeah, I feel like it's just when I'm in a clutch, just what they say, I guess.
Hey, you gotta have someone you can rely on. So I mean, I feel like it's pressure, but hey, glad that the team has you. It's definitely been showing so up so far. So yeah. Great stuff coming out. Top of the group. I'll let you go and debrief with the team and talk about those pistol rounds and stuff, but I want to say congratulations again on the win and best of luck next week. Keep it staying undefeated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. As for us, first series of the day, a fantastic one, but of course we still have one more with one of the teams that's actually trying to be vying for the consideration of top in the group as well. It's going to be Oxygen versus YFB after this break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.